you for coming, and thank you, my master, for this opportunity to share this message today. Let's take a break from our outside life and focus on this message here, which is now the most important thing. And the questions, I do want your questions. If you have any questions, hold until the end and make a note of this number so we can go back and see what the question is. So all the slides are numbered. This is what I wanted to share with Tanya. This month, on the 18th, we're going to celebrate our 9th birthday. Not birthday, but anniversary. So for 9 years, we have been here studying the gospel, loving, praying, working together in a model of a group created by Allan Kardec. So that's interesting, because I was preparing this material and I noticed that the day of our foundation was 18th of April of 2007. And this book was published on the 18th of April of 1857. So we are today celebrating 159 years of the publication of this book, where everything started, and 9 years of this group. I thought this was very interesting, because I am very... numbers are very important, and this was really funny. So Andre and I think, because this is the basis of Spiritism and the publication of this book. And the author of this book, which is the basis of Spiritism, is what we're going to talk about today. So let's start with some definitions. A revelation, to reveal something, is to make something known, is to explain something. So all sciences are revelations. Astronomy revealed the world of stars. Geology, the formation of Earth. Chemistry, the substances, the affinity between substances. Physiology revealed the functions of our body, and so on. So revelation is something, to reveal something is to make it known. So Copernico, Newton, Galileo, Laplace, Lavoisier, they are all revealers because they explained something, they made something known. So Spiritism is also a revelation because it revealed the spiritual world, which is where we come from and where we are going to. And Spiritism, the source of this revelation is divine. The initiative is the spirits. They did this, but it was actually implemented by somebody incarnated. So another definition is, why do we say Allan Kardec was the codifier of Spiritism? To code is to reduce some laws to a code, to organize, to put it in order, or to arrange in a systematic collection. He did that. So that's why he's called the codifier. Because of his methodic personality, organization, determination, we are here today. So this guy was born in Lyon, which is here, not very close to Paris. It actually was closer to Switzerland and Italy. So this is Lyon. His name was Hippolyte Léon de Rivail, and he was born in October the 3rd, 1804, in Lyon, France. So he was a bourgeois. He came from a privileged family. Very traditional lawyers, people from the law, legal attorneys, but he was not interested in following this path, in being a lawyer. He was much more interested in science, philosophy. Since very young, he would do experiments, and he made clear that he would not follow the family's path. So at that time, there was a lot of oppression, because after the revolution, the French Revolution, there was a lot of oppression, especially religious oppression. So people that had money, these families that had money, would send their kids to other places. So he was sent to the model school called Pestalozzi, School of Pestalozzi in Switzerland. In the map, you saw that it was not very far. So when he was 10, he went to this school away from his family to study with Pestalozzi. Pestalozzi was on the top of the Society of Sciences and Education. He had been decorated, and he was following the ideas of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. So he was on the top of this society. He was very intuitive and very warm, and he would love children. So he created this school as a model school for people who wanted to study to be educators. And his methodology combined philosophies of, like I said, enlightenment. Jean-Jacques Rousseau was his mentor, and with idealistic theories. And Allan Kardec, at that time, Rivail, was the brightest student. So he would wake up 4:30 in the morning, eager to study and teach the others. Yeah, I know. So when Pestalozzi would travel, he would leave Allan Kardec and Rivail to teach the other students. So he was very prominent. He started teaching at the age of 14. Can you imagine a 14-year-old today? Anybody here has a kid that is 14? Teaching the class, like teaching. So he would understand the subject, research, and teach the other kids. So he left this place with a bachelor in science, medicine, and literature. And he spoke fluently, besides his native language, which was French, German, English, Italian, Spanish, and Dutch. So this guy was really busy. So he left the school and he went back to Lyon, but then he said, Lyon is too small for me right now. I'm going to go to Paris. So he went to Paris and he founded an institute, which was a mini-me institute of the Pestalozzi school. So he created an institute for people to learn science, Rue de Sèvres. So it was a beautiful place, and he was educated in this place from 24 to 48, and he was teaching lots of students, and he published many books at that time. So he was, having a good life, enjoying teaching, meeting a lot of people. Life was good. And then he met Amélie Baudet. Amélie Baudet was his companion for life. She was 9 years older than he was. He was very tall, and she was petite. Do you see any similarities? Because my husband is very tall, and I'm petite. So they were working together. They were partners, and they met and got married in 1932. She was an educator too, so they would share this passion for education. And she was very strong, spiritually speaking. She was very interested in helping him and working with him. So then his partner loved gambling. Allan Kardec enjoyed teaching and studying, but his partner, which was actually his uncle, the brother of his mom, really enjoyed gambling. So guess what? They went bankrupt. He received his part in the split, gave to a friend who had an application, a financial company to invest. This guy invested his money, but never gave him his money back. So he lost everything, and now he is in day zero again. Zero. No money, no institute. But not discouraged. He had all this knowledge of science, accounting. He translated books. He spoke many languages. So he got some accounting job for 3 customers, and at night he would write books on grammar, math, using the Pestalozzi method. So here is one of his books, Arithmetic. Aqui, ó. Hippolyte de Lyon des Arrivales. So he would write books, and the books were in high demand. He sold lots of books, translated lots of books. And look at this. He didn't have any money because he lost the money, but he would teach free. So during the day, he was doing accounting. At night, he was writing books and translating, and then he would still would find time to teach for free because he loved teaching. So he was teaching chemistry, physics, anatomy, and astronomy. So the guy was big. He never was discouraged or depressed or no. He had a lot of resilience. So he was writing all these books. They immediately became bestsellers. They sold a lot of books. So he started the institute again, rented another place, built his institute and teaching, and he became a member of many societies in Paris. So he became very respected again. He was at the top level of reputation in Paris for his integrity and character and all the skills and the knowledge that he had because of his background, because of his education, character, and integrity. So now we know that he was selected for this mission because of his spotless personality and integrity. They gave him these challenges and he reacted really well. He raised from zero, and he's already in very respected in the society in science. So he knew a lot of people in Paris. So we know that he was selected by the spirits, which are really the conductors of this mission. He was selected for this job, and he was ready at this point. So in parallel to this, we had in 1848 the Hydesville Fox sisters. They were, I don't know how much you know about this, but it was a famous event. They bought a house in a small neighborhood, like in a farm, small farm, and the community witnessed a spirit of somebody inside the house trying to communicate, bumping, and they communicated with this spirit, and the whole community around this place witnessed this. So this became kind of famous in that community. So some people that were spiritualists, they were interested in those phenomena. So they collected all this information in brochures and magazines, and they went to Europe. They were missionaries. They went to Europe in this steamer, Washington, in 1852. And from England, Great Britain, Scotland, and England, they started spreading these brochures and magazines. So people started like playing, because the word is really playing in parties, doing the same that they did in Hydesville. So they would have food, drinks, and also this kind of entertainment, trying to talk to the spirit. So this was going on in 1853. So Allan Kardec, because he knew a lot of people, he knew Monsieur Fortier. Monsieur Fortier was in one of these societies, and he knew about this. He was going to these parties because he was interested in magnetism. So Monsieur Fortier, because he knew Allan Kardec was very involved in science, he showed evidence of these events. Allow me to read. Monsieur Fortier mentioned the turning tables. The tables were turning in the parties. For the first time, he met Monsieur Fortier, and he said, the table is not only turning, but also speaking. We ask questions, and they answer. And then Allan Kardec replied, I will believe when I see it, and when somebody proves that tables have a brain. So he was completely skeptical. He was not believing. And then he went to see, because this was like everywhere. And then he said, I found myself in front of an unexplainable fact, denying the laws of nature, and that my reason would repel, because it wouldn't make sense. I've never seen something like this before. Those experiences performed in front of honored people who deserved credibility would lead to the possibility of a purely material effect. But the idea of a talking table would not make sense. So he went there, he took a look, but he said, that's crazy, because this is not only moving but talking. And the people were very trustable. So then he met this other friend from over 25 years. And this guy probably was like me, very enthusiastic. Oh, the tables are turning. Oh, the tables are speaking. He was very enthusiastic. And he wanted Allan Kardec to go and see his party. And he said, I'm not going to go. I'm too busy doing other things. I'm not interested. I know about it, but thank you, but no thank you. And then Monsieur Carlotti said, you one day will be one of us. And then Allan Kardec responded, I would not say no. I responded, let's talk about it later. So this guy really wanted to pull him to see with all this enthusiasm, but he said no. Maybe he was not impressed. He said no. And that the key word here is enthusiasm. I think that is why he didn't go. Because Allan Kardec was very much using reason. He said, I don't know about this. I cannot say yes or no. So it's preferable to reject 10 truths than validate a single lie, a single false theory. He would not believe or endorse this. He just didn't investigate. But then he was not left alone. He was not. He visited with Monsieur Fortier. He went to visit Madame Roger. And there, in this place, there was Monsieur Patier, which was a very educated person, no enthusiasm. So this is completely different. This guy was very calm, not showing any enthusiasm, but reason. He was showing that this was happening very calmly, not showing any enthusiasm. So then he got interested. At this point, he became interested. He said, I had a different impression. When he invited me to witness the experiences at Madame Pleine Maison home, I immediately accepted. That's interesting, because this guy was not, oh, yeah, it's happening. And the other was, you have to see this. But he really, because he had all this reason and logic, he said, no, now I'll go. Because the guy is not moved by emotion, but by reason and logic. So then here he is participating already in these events, these meetings. And then he says, I've witnessed the turning tables and saw what seemed to be impossible. At this time, I've also seen some mediumistic writing with the help of a little basket, something like this, a pen with a little basket, automatic writing. My ideas were far from having changed, but in that there was a fact that had to have a cause. I saw in those apparently frivolous entertainment something serious, like something revealing a new law, and promised myself to research it deeper. So now you got his attention. He decided to investigate how these things could move, could talk, or people talk and bring messages from the spirits. So here he's still not in the circle, but witnessing. And then he said, then I started my first series studies in Spiritism. Less by revelation, more in observation. So he's just observing here. I applied to this new science the method of experimentation. never using preconceived ideas or theories. I would observe, so he's just looking, compare, conclude, logically linking facts, never admitting as right an explanation unless it could solve all questions. So he was being very careful with this. He had a reputation, he had a name, he was very well respected in the society in Paris. He was not going to put his name in something that doesn't make sense, he cannot explain. So he was being very careful in investigating these events. So he was contemplating the idea to give up on this completely and focus on his books, because he went to school for this, he wrote the books, he was selling a lot, he was teaching. He considered many times just completely giving up. He was not interested in manifestations and focused on other things. But then this guy, a group of people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that were meeting in a regular basis, communicating with the spirits, asking questions. They prepared 50 notebooks and they said, it's a mess. We cannot organize this. We cannot do anything with that. It's completely disorganized. But you with your skills of organization methodic, you can do this. So they completely trusted him with these 50 notebooks with communications that they could not organize. Because they knew about his interest in learning and knowledge, his organization skills and methodic personality, they trusted him. This hard work they couldn't do. So 50 books, questions and answers, lots of comments were trusted to him. And what does he do? He turned it down. I'm not going to do it. I turned down, time-consuming and involved in other works. And that night, he was visited, and in the book it doesn't say what kind of visit, if it was in his dream or if it was a communication or a written communication, but he was visited by somebody called Zéfiro, which is, they call Z, which was actually a friend of his, of Allan Kardec in his previous incarnation when they were Druids, kind of religious figure. So he was visited by this protecting spirit called Zéfiro in a very personal communication, presented himself as a friend from a preceding existence, as they both were Druids living in Gaia. At that time, his name was Allan Kardec. So Allan Kardec was a good known from a previous incarnation when he was a Druid, and he was very close friends with Zéfiro. So he turned down the 50 notebooks, and then Zéfiro said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. This is a very important mission. He revealed that this task he has been called to was way too important. He would successfully perform it, and the Spirit promised to be his partner in this mission. Spiritism. This is the day Spiritism was born. So here is Allan Kardec trying to compile all these books, reading, separating, and of course Amélie helped him. She helped him a lot to do all this, because nobody can do this. 50 notebooks. This material was the foundation of the Spiritist doctrine. Questions asked to the spirits, the answers very precise, profound, and logic. And now they have meetings, and the participants had a serious interest. They would ask serious questions. So we are talking about astronomers, people in science that were asking very important and high-level questions. And then he says, this is all in his book, Posthumous Works. Before that, I would go to the meetings only to solve problems that I was interested in concerning philosophy and the invisible world. And now he has a completely different agenda. So they start the sessions. So like I said, different scientists as a guests, top level, very complex and complicated questions. And because they wanted to assure the credibility, they sent the same questions to many different people in 268 cities in 37 countries across 5 continents: America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Over 1,000 contacts. No internet, not even a typewriter. I mean, this was like people really writing in candles. No AC, no light, no internet, no typewriter, no computer. They were very busy doing this. This was hard work. So then he comes with this book, starting writing the book, La Doctrine Spirit. At this point, I realized that was turning into a doctrine. I thought about publishing it for everyone's information and learning. So he saw that this material became so big and so defined that he decided this would be more than a book. So this is Palais Royal in Paris. Still today, we see Palais Royal, which is a gallery of many shops. Wonderful place. When next time you go to Paris, please visit Palais Royal. So in Palais Royal, there was a bookstore, and this guy said, well, you can put the book in the window. Looks like a nice book. And there are no pictures. Sorry, I have to change this. See, the book was in the window, vitrine, and no pictures. But a lot of people were passing and they were attracted by the book, including the title. And one of the persons that passed there, Camille Flammarion, saw this and started asking questions and talking about the book and said, I want to work with you. I said, no, I cannot pay an astronomer. You don't have to pay me. I'll be your collaborator. So Camille Flammarion, which is one of the most important authors, became his collaborator at that day. And Allan Kardec didn't find anybody, any publisher, to sponsor his work. He put from his pocket and printed 1,200 copies with his own resources, because he really trusted that this was good information. So he knew what he was doing. He said, I'm going to put my money. So immediately it became a bestseller, and it was sold out. And in his lifetime, he reprinted 15 other editions. At that time, everybody wanted to publish because it became a bestseller. And then, of course, he signed his name, Allan Kardec, because this was not the work that he was used to do. Arithmetic, math, science. This was a completely different work. And he didn't want people to buy this book because it was Hippolyte, but because of the content. So he put a different name. Nothing to do with his previous work. And he was told to do that by Zephyro. So the answers were classified and arranged. And on this day, 159 years ago, this book was published, and it was the beginning of Spiritism. So this is the main book of this doctrine, because it was a book based on dialogue, right? It was a backbone. The philosophic aspect of this doctrine is contained here, and the answers, it was interesting because the questions come from this world, and the answers come from a different world. So, and this doctrine belonged to them. And this book originated all the other ones. So it started with 1,019 questions answered by Spirit of Truth and his team. Sometimes we don't know who they are, who is answering, but lots of, in this group, lots of people in high level. And Spiritism is based on the integrity of this book, the credibility of who is talking, and the evangelic purity and coherence of its revelation. So he was really careful to admit that something was right because he investigated all the way. He didn't want to believe it at first, so he eliminated all the possibilities of this being wrong, using all his background and reputation all the way to admit that this was good and true information. So after that, this is the Pentateuch, the 5 main books of Spiritism, including the first one, Spirit's book, the Medium's book, which focuses on mediumship. It explains, it's like encyclopedia of mediumship. It has everything. The Gospel according to Spiritism is the religious aspect, when we explain about moral consequences of what we do, what we think. Heaven and hell, of course, it's information coming from spirits that are already on the other side. And the Genesis, which is the scientific aspect. It talks about complex information about the formation of the world. And of course, besides this, there is the posthumous works that was published after his death with his diary. A lot of this information comes from this book, which is a fantastic book. And they wanted to really make public what he was thinking in during this work. So this is the mainstream. And he published these books from 1857 until 68, so 11 years. So he started in 55 and had all this time frame for this. And of course, the La Revue Spirituelle, the Spiritist Review, which was a complement of his books that he published for 11 years, starting right after the first edition of Spirit's book until his death. We have this here, and we are translating as a council, translating and publishing because it's such an important book, which complements. And he received some questions from the community, and he would address those questions. So Spiritist Review is a fantastic source of reading. And in this book, the posthumous works, he was even thinking about his ability to do this work. And he asked, what are possible causes of my potential failure? Inaptitude? So this is a guy that had a lot of reason to feel confident, but he still had some reservations because this was a mission from the spirits, and he said he was not at the beginning understanding why he was selected for this. But he asked this question, and then the Spirit of Truth replied, strong enemies will plot against your victory. You will be exposed to calumny, betrayal. Must have courage, perseverance, unbreakable strength. It's important to have devotement, abnegation, and to be ready for all sacrifices. Your mission depends on you. So we are talking about Allan Kardec, and then sometimes we feel challenged with our problems. I mean, Jesus had enemies. Kardec had people that would expose him to calumny and stuff like that. This is for us to see that challenges everybody has at any time, in any mission, in any event, in any activity, in any task. So even he, with such a mission, important mission, was challenged with this. And look at what he says 10 years later about this very text. The above communication was verified in all points. I've experimented all kinds of challenges that were announced above. Then he lists and describes in this book that I got all kinds of obstacles, challenges, difficulties, attacks that he was targeted of. He explains, right, really lists everything that he had to face to continue his mission. And this book is a biography. I mean, he explains. I think he would write a lot in his diary. He was like that. And we feel that in this belief that such a mission, such important mission from the spirits, choosing a person that was spotless in his integrity would face stuff like that. So I mean, for me, it was like, every day I think about my ability to do stuff, people that don't want me to succeed. So here is the comment that I want to make. Then, after all this wonderful collection and work, he said, my mission is accomplished. My mission is complete. He bought a retirement home in a semi-rural retreat. He wanted to live there and create a home, library, and museum. And the collaborators would live in such a place. It was like a set of houses. So they all would live in this place because they were turning 60-something. And then the new address of his work was even published in the Spiritist Review, April 1st. But on the day before, look at this. He was preparing, so it's all boxes in his house, preparing to move, because the new address is already announced. He was giving the Spiritist Review to a person who came to pick up, and he immediately dies. Like, it's some kind of condition that you're not like this, you're like this. So I think the spirits agreed with him that his mission was really complete and accomplished. And now he's going to continue. I mean, here, I see it in a way that he didn't have any minute to waste in his life after his mission was complete. I mean, I told my husband, I found this, but this is shocking. Let me find two odd. I did like him. I did like him. I tried to find this very information in two other places minimum to make sure that he died one day before retirement. At 65. I mean, this is incredible. They said, yes, your mission is accomplished. So he died. And this was a beautiful place in the surroundings of Paris called Ville de Ségur, but didn't continue. So then there was a burial in Montmartre, in a small cemetery, Montmartre. And then like 2,000 people went to his burial. And like 4 speeches and like 4 hours. And people started visiting like a lot. And then they said, well, we have to move to Père Lachaise. Next time you go to Paris, please visit this place. Père Lachaise is a cemetery. You went there. Yeah. Constantly like this. And there is, of course, Van Morrison also in this very place. So the rock stars go to Van Morrison, but Allan Kardec is very close by, in Amélie. And then here, they put, to be born, to die, to be reborn yet again, and constantly progress. That's the law. So now, he gave us freedom, that we now will have spiritual progress forever. We are not stuck. That's his legacy. His work and his message, it was like a match. Like, in 1 year after his death, 0.5 million followers. I'm not talking about Facebook, which is very easy that you just like or join. No, this is like hard work. The books were hard to read, and we still have candles, right? So he had 0.5 million followers in 1 year later. Today, according to Spiritist Council and International Spiritist Council, we have 25 to 30 million worldwide. Only in Brazil we have 4 million. I thought we had more. I cannot debate her information. So, I mean, this guy came for this, such an important message. So before this guy had the patience, the determination, and the commitment to organize this and explain, he was selected and he was prepared for this because he would get something, understand this something, organize and explain. And that's what he did. He didn't invent mediumship or reincarnation. These were not invented by anything like us or him or spirits or the books. But he helped us to understand. So now, because of him, we have the books in our shelf here. We can study these. We have AC, we have light, we have internet, we have typewriter, we have computers. We can understand this message because of what he did, his determination. He studied, he organized, and he explained this. Like the medium's book is very well explained, like in details. So that's why he was the codifier of Spiritism. He investigated, compiled this material, researched deeply, not accepting anything that he could not prove in all cases. And because of, he was very careful in all this, this is the key to his triumph. His contribution for humanity, we cannot even say, because the world is much better now. Millions and millions understand, studying this, putting it in practice, and spreading this is immeasurable. And because of this, we every day remember that probably our problems are temporary and we will evolve forever. Our life, our progress will continue forever. Spiritism is not based on a person, not even in Kardec, but spirits. That's why the name is Spiritism. So there is no such a thing as Kardecism, because this was not based in anyone. It's some information that came from the spirit, so the name is Spiritism. But he was the codifier. He organized and explained. So he explained the importance of spiritual progress, life preservation, natural laws, reincarnation, fraternal love, and so on. It's a wonderful book. And this message was actually the same message that the civilization got before from Moses and Jesus, but in a different format. It's the law, the divine laws of God. And the reason, the fact that this was given to an educator says a lot, because an educator has love for the students. If they don't have a love for their students, probably not a good educator. So the importance of having this was huge. And I mean, we had last year we had an event like this, but in Connecticut. And Jussara had a talk sharing Kardec's messages after he died. I think you were there, right? The importance of love. So he gave us information saying that the most important in sharing anything with anybody would be love. So he had perfect skills for this mission. However, he was chosen because of this. the ability to love, to do his work with love. And it's funny because Pestalozzi, all the pictures, images that I saw about him was carrying the students, hugging. He got this from, I think they had a lot in common. Another thing is that some people sometimes make comments. So Spiritism walking very closely with progress will never be outdated. It relies on facts like all sciences and observation. It's essentially progressive. So if a new truth is revealed, this information can accommodate. Because it comes from the spirits, it cannot be wrong. So today, exactly 159 years after the publication of this book, none of the fundamental principles of Spiritism has been proved wrong. They are all intact. This is the same. Especially in a century that we had so much advanced technology, so many changes, the books are still conserving, keeping the same information and accommodate new tools. And also in other religions, before that, we had dogmas. It is because it is, and God acts in mysterious ways, sometimes not explaining, and in this case, this is based mostly in reason, in explanation. And one interesting thing that I think is fantastic is his last work before he thought he would retire, is that he created a catalog of books. Like I wanted to do this for this group and say, people come here and say, what are the books that I should read in which sequence? So he had that. He created that, but he was so sure about what he was doing that he included Spiritist books, non-Spiritist books, and books with opposite ideas. So he said, for people to form their own opinion, they have to know all opinions. So I think it's great that he was so comfortable with what he did and with the content of this information that he said, go read a lot and then you tell me what you think. So one must know other viewpoints to form their opinion. So this really impressed a lot of people because he was open to discussion, he was open to debate, and the Spiritist Review is a proof of that. He would get questions like people trying to discredit him, and he would address it publish in the Spiritist Review. So he was very sure and confident about this, and he would take anybody's attacks and discuss. And the proof is this, his last work. So for us, it brought this idea that we are in constant improvement. We're going to have many incarnations and infinite life. We are eternal spirits. We will be forever improving. It's different from having a religious authority to tell me or to interfere hierarchically. It's me free with my actions and what I do, and then reach my destination. We are responsible for our spiritual progress. It's different from what we had before. We are the authors of our own evolution. That's a big responsibility, actually. Some people cannot handle to be free. They need to be told what to do, how to do, when to do. So this is for people that are ready for this, to be free and to continue forever in this path. Free will. So I do this or I do that. Well, it depends. What is my goal? What do I want to accomplish? Where am I going? So I'm free. It's this doctrine of second chances, a new day, a new chance, a new life, new beginning. Yes, I made a mistake. It's a horrible mistake, but I can start again. I can improve. I can make right. And if I need not one more day, but one new life, I can. Hã? Yeah. Já acabou. Já está no penúltimo. So life is a new opportunity, like we have a new day to make right what we wasted yesterday. We have a new beginning. And this is something he said, the most important thing in Spiritism is not a mediumistic phenomena, but rather its principles and moral consequences. So some people are very focused in mediumship. The phenomenon, how the chair is moving, how this person is showing to other people. What is more important is how this message touches us today. Because my problems, for me, I am the center of the universe, and my problems seem to be eternal, and it's not, because we start again, and I'm responsible for what I do. So the whole world changed. And we get lots of messages from the spirits on that. Things that we cannot even see or even assess. But the world is much better because of the light he brought. And this is a very famous sentence that he says, unshakable faith is only that which can meet reason face to face in every human epoch. So reason. Why is like this? And then we can explain, because sometimes we would read other books and we wouldn't understand. And this one shows reason, explanation, and addresses all the questions. So that's it. I wanted to share this today. Of course, this is the best biography of Allan Kardec. It's a small little book, but fantastic. It talks about everything, about all the aspects of his life in detail. This book, I bought this, and I'm going to put it in the library if you want to see. It's great. So here are the books. This is the one I told you that it's the best biography. See, it's old, it has a lot of coffee, but it's the best one. This is the newest one. It was published, I think, last year or 2 years ago. It's very eclectic. It has a different kind of innovation. This one has 2 volumes, Fab, and this one talks about Allan Kardec, the educator. So it's very, very focused in him as his education and how he passed this message.
That's a DVD, actually.
It's a DVD. I put in the library.
Okay.
I am
saw
about
the
to
top.
see. Yeah. It's not a book, it's a DVD. I will make it available here so you guys can read. Thank you very much.